welcome to the Monday, March 24th meeting of the Lewis County Board of County Commissioners. We do have a quorum. All three members are present, and we'll begin with the flag salute. Commissioner Fund.
Please stand. You may be seated.
I move to approve the minutes of March 17th, St. Patrick's Day, 2014.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve the minutes of the previous meeting on March 17th. Any questions, deletions, corrections, additions? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The motion carries.
I move that we approve the public comment first, right?
Public comments. Ron Averill?
I recommend that I defer until you do your proclamation.
Okay. Very good. Thank you. Thank you.
I move that we approve the proclamation proclaiming the Morton White Pass boys basketball team as WIAA 2B state champions.
I second that.
Thank you. I spoke last week or 2 weeks ago, I guess last week, when the WF West girls were here. And it's interesting to note that little old Lewis County has its share of state champions. And I made note of that at that time, that I think it's indicative of the work ethic that the people in Lewis County have. You boys, the girls from WF West, and virtually every year since we started doing this back in '07, we've had state champions to recognize at this meeting, and we appreciate your efforts and your coming in this morning. It gives me great pleasure because of being from the area, the Morton White Pass area, and knowing that this is the first time in the history of the White Pass High School that White Pass has been a part of a state championship team. We've had individual champions, but we've never had team championship at White Pass. So special recognition. I'm so glad that I've had the opportunity to do this before I leave office. I appreciate you guys' efforts. So moving on to the proclamation itself. Oh, and by the way, we're going to ask you guys to come up and go to the mic up here and state a little bit about your name and future plans that you might have. So you might be thinking about that as I'm reading this, what you want to say, just very briefly, and then we'll meet up here for a team picture with the commissioners. What are you laughing about, Merlin? I could have said something ahead of time, but we could have just let it go and then had to do it when they come up. It's a little bit easier. Before the Board of County Commissioners of Lewis County, Washington, a proclamation honoring the 2014 Morton White Pass High School boys basketball team. Whereas the Morton White Pass High School boys basketball team is comprised of high school basketball players. And whereas the team just completed a very successful undefeated season, winning first place at the State 2B WIA Basketball Championship. And whereas the players, coaches, and parents spent countless hours at practices, traveling to and from games, supporting the team. And whereas the Lewis County Board of Commissioners wishes to recognize the accomplishments and contributions of all those involved with the Morton White Pass High School boys basketball team. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Lewis County Board of County Commissioners commend the Morton White Pass High School boys basketball team for the winning season and publicly thank all the parents, coaches, and volunteers in the community who supported this and other youth athletic teams. Done in open session this 24th day of March 2014, Board of County Commissioners, Lewis County, Washington. So, any other questions or comments on the proclamation? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Now, gentlemen, if you guys will all line up, Tony, and get your team lined up along the wall here, then whoever wants to go first can go first, and then we'll
Okay. So I'll just talk about myself. Plan. My name's Kalen Dunlap. I'm a senior at Morton, and I plan to attend a 2 or 4 year college and go into the field of nursing.
We're going to get a picture of you.
I'm Jesse Evelyn. I'm a junior at White Pass High School. I plan on attending a college and going to law enforcement.
My name is Rylan Kolb. I'm a senior at Morton, and after high school, I plan on joining the apprenticeship program and becoming an electrical line worker.
My name is Bryce Collette. I'm a junior at Morton High School, and I plan on joining the Navy after high school.
It's Navy. That's okay. We take credit for them too.
My name's Colby Dunlap. I'm a junior at Morton High School, and I plan on being a Brentech logger after high school.
My name is Zach Hansen, and I'm a junior at Morton High School, and I don't know what I want to do.
My name is Zach Walton, and I'm a junior at Morton High School, and I'm undecided what I want to do after high school.
You've grown since I saw you play. What's the deal?
Now you remember when we get pictures taken, you stand next to me.
I'm Caleb Poquette. I'm a sophomore at Martin High School, and after high school, I intend going to college with a good sports medicine program.
I'm Braden Elledge, sophomore at White Pass, and want to be an electrician after high school.
I'm Gabe Clough, and I plan on going to college after high school.
You hear that? My name's Zach Counts. I'm a senior at White Pass High School, and I plan to become an X-ray tech at Tacoma Community College.
My name's Brian Reynolds, and I'm a senior at Morton High School, and I plan on attending Eastern Oregon to study nursing.
Well, first off, we are honored to be here, and we appreciate you guys inviting us. And secondly, I've had the pleasure of coaching these 12 young men, and it's been awesome. They give every ounce of effort and energy and play to win. So I've just been fortunate to be around them for a couple years. I'm currently going to stay coaching, and as long as they have me for a while, at least till December, until we maybe lose a game. But and then I still work at the sawmill. I'm a greening superintendent there.
My name's Steve Hansen. I'm a retired teacher and presently one of the 2 athletic directors. I'm an athletic director from Morton. We also have one from White Pass. And I'm lucky enough to be involved with all these boys in every sport, and it's a lot of fun, a lot of work, a lot of fun. And I'm real proud of all of them. And I think Tony's job's safe for at least another year or 2. Thanks, Lee. Thank you.
Now, we're going to have to kind of crunch it just a little bit. Smaller guys in front. Ed, come on over here. You're in front of me.
I'm in front of this group, yeah, you're late.
And we just want to recognize that Tony Gillespie has just been awarded WIAA Coach of the Year for the state of Washington, too. Congratulations, Tony.
Galen's hat, come on, maybe.
My hat come on.
Thank you all very much.
Now, I understand we're going on a tour, so.
That's a nice hat.
Switch jobs, Tony. Going to Pablo.
Thank you for letting me be.
I wanted to make a comment. I'm an Onalaska High School graduate, and I remember when in my senior year, that we were playing against Morton, and Morton beat us by 1 point. So we still remember those battles back then, but congratulations. Glad it came back to Lewis County, the state championship. Thanks.
I can recall a lot of football games against Morton myself. And we're not going to go there who won and lost, because I think we won our share. Okay, public comment. Ron Averill.
I'm Ron Averill. I live in 2523 Graff Road in Centralia. And I'm speaking during public comment because there's a consent item about which I'm concerned. And since we don't normally allow public to talk to consent items, I want to get these comments out for your considerations. First of all, I want to give my congratulations to Morton White Pass for your great job. And you should know that when Commissioner Fund was playing basketball, they only played half court. So
That was girls' basketball.
Girls' basketball. I wouldn't want to play against you guys either.
There were certain rules with girls' basketball back then, gentlemen, and one was half court. The other was no more than 3 dribbles. And because they would dribble too long and then they'd lose the ball. Girls' basketball's come a long way since the
Yes, since Title IX, yeah.
what I do want to talk about is I understand that the agenda item that you have for the interlocal agreement between the City of Tacoma and the City of Chehalis and Lewis County is an exploratory agreement, and that there are outs of that agreement should the investigation prove to be fruitless, at least for both the City of Chehalis and Lewis County. I'm glad that that provision is in there, because I need you to know that there are those of us in the community that don't think this is a good idea. Just in the last few weeks, there have been 2 articles in the Chronicle. There have been 3 calls into the John Pinesco show asking why Lewis County is considering doing this. You're talking about the need of $3 million in order to purchase the railroad, of which $2 million is supposed to come from a grant. That means the other $1 million's got to come from somewhere else. I have not yet heard where that is. I suppose that one of those sources could be the distressed county funds. But if you use distressed county funds, you're going to have to pay it back, which means that you're going to have an expense for that. And where is that $1 million coming from? I think the public needs to know, and I think they need to know how it's going to be paid off and what it's going to cost. Next, the road has not been used for over 2 decades. I think that one of the things that needs to be done is a thorough inspection of the infrastructure. What are the trestles? What was the condition of the line, of the rail? I know of someone who lives in Centralia where the rail crosses the Skookumchuck. And they say that the trestle's in good condition, but you can look down that line and it's wavy. And as most of you know, there is a limitation on how fast a train can go on that. So it limits what you can use that line for. The other aspect is that why doesn't Tacoma want it? Now, I've talked to Larry McGee, and I understand that you already eliminated the idea of tourism, and that was what Tacoma wanted to do with it. They currently run tourism on that line to Elbe. They wanted to run it down here, and the city of Centralia objected. I think you may have been on the council when that happened, Edna. And the reason they objected is because of Main Street and Mellon Street, major arteries that would be intersected if there was regular traffic on that particular line. Storage is limited income, talking about 50 to 80,000. That would barely pay off that 1 million loan. If you're going to use it for hauling, where are you hauling it from and to where? The line has got very poor connectivity to anything, and you have to use some other rails. One would ask, why isn't the Port of Centralia or the Port of Chehalis involved in this? They both have rail right now from other lines. If you wanted to use it for intermodal, you would run into huge problems in that you've got a very small line with just a couple of spurs on it, and it would need connectivity, and it would need room to do intermodal work, which would cost money. And so those questions need to be answered. It's interesting to me that we got out of the airport, Lewis County, because of the limited income and the high liability. If you don't think there's liability on a train line, you might want to talk to BNR in Santa Fe. There is liability, and I don't know, Lee, if the risk pool would cover that liability, which means if you are in this, you may have to buy insurance. How much is that going to cost? So there are a lot of questions that the public needs to know. I hope that there's going to be a hearing before this happens, but I'm also concerned about the finances that are out there. We have been in recession for a long time. We're not getting better. We see small things, but we've made huge sacrifices. We've cut back 15% of our people. Our sheriff's department is heavily overtaxed on the road and in the jail. We've got other things that we need to do besides buy a railroad. Finally, our taxes in jeopardy. You know that RFA right now is not getting all the money that they should be able to collect because of the limitation on the amount of property tax that you can get. And Lewis County, in some areas, is also coming up very close in this area. So I think that we have other things. What we need is jobs, not more liability. Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the notice agenda, one item, number 2, resolution number 14-101.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Tim?
Good morning, Commissioners. Tim Ellison, Public Works Director. This contract will allow Lewis County to improve 2.14 miles of King Road in Lewis County by widening and reconstructing the roadway, crushed surfacing base, top course, bituminous surface treatment, installing flexible guideposts and traffic control, constructing culverts and placing guardrail and other work, all in accordance with the contract provisions and standard specifications. This is going out to bid now. This is a notice that it's going out to bid, and that bids will be opened on or after 11:30 a.m. on April 15th, 2014.
Tim, correction, you said 2.14 miles, and the actual is 2.41 miles.
I'm sorry, there's it is 2.14.
It is 2.14,
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Make that correction. Okay. Motion made and seconded to approve the notice agenda item. Are there any further questions or comments? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
I move that we approve consent items resolution number 14-02 through 14-104.
I second that.
Motion made and seconded. The first item is the weekly payment of warrants and payroll. This week there are 75 regular warrants in the amount of $242,645.70. And there are payroll and benefits warrants in the amount of $218,932.
The next item is approving the interlocal with the City of Tacoma and the City of Chehalis on a exploratory approval for purchasing the Tacoma line. This makes a lot of sense. There is a $3 million price tag. That $3 million price tag is split up into two parts. One would be a $1 million loan paid for by proceeds from the railroad leasee, not from tax dollars from Lewis County. The second part would be a $2 million grant from the federal government. What we need to do on this process is look into, will this make sense? It's a two-step process. The first part of the step is to do a detailed business plan and a financial analysis that tells us, does it make sense to buy this railroad for $3 million? Just as a little background, in 2006, the city of Centralia thought it made a lot of sense to buy this railroad for $7 million. And they were going to get funding from the state. Turns out the state didn't think it was worth $7, and neither do we. The question is whether it's worth $3 million, and I don't know. We want to do a detailed business plan. We want to analyze it. If the argument comes back such that it makes sense, we will then make that argument and pass it on for a federal grant to fund the remainder. Why do we want to do this? Yes, we're having hard times. You want to stick your head in the sand, or do you want to do something that provides some economic activity? This has a potential of providing jobs, providing low-cost transportation for local businesses, and will help stimulate and get us out of the recession we're in. The railroad is accepted. It's accepted rail. The bridges are inspected annually and paid for by the leaseor. So Western Washington Rail would pay for the expense of maintenance and leasing. There is some concern with the condition of the rail, but there are several different levels of approval, and the minimum level is accepted, which means there's a speed limit, which is always good when you're going through neighborhoods, and two is there's no passenger service allowed on this line. The Port of Chehalis is involved, and they're interested in tying this in to their city of, or their port of rail that goes all the way out to Curtis. And there's a rail yard out there, a pull yard, that's interested in shipping. As for connectivity, we're connected at several different places, and there's potential to connect south where it goes into the Burlington Northern line. There is connectivity about exit 79. There's connectivity with the Genesee, Wyoming rail up in Centralia. So why are we interested in this? Local control, impact on neighborhoods. If an outside rail buys this, you're talking coal and oil unit trains going through at higher speeds, blocking 9 at-grade crossings in Chehalis and Centralia, both Main Streets and Mellon Street. I personally find it unacceptable that we could have unit trains blocking Mellon Street and access to the hospital. So what happens if we start this process? We'll find out whether it does make sense to purchase a railroad. We'll get a definitive answer, and we won't have to rely on what people feel or think or their emotions. We'll have facts. Number 2 is we will have some say over operations on the railroad that will not happen if somebody else purchased the line. If the railroads operate on a federal charter. If you own it, you can put conditions on it. If someone else owns it, it's a federal chartered rail line, and it would be operated by whoever the owner was without local input. So I would recommend approving this interlocal to explore the possibility of buying a rail line if it makes sense. If it doesn't make sense, what's the penalty of backing out? There is a $150,000 put in escrow, and if we back out other than for financial reasons, we forfeit $50,000 of that $150,000. If the business plan says it doesn't make sense, there's no penalty. If we can't get the financial package, there's no penalty. And so it makes absolutely no sense not to explore this option. Thank you.
Yeah, just one additional comment from me. Mr. Averill, your comments are are all being considered, as Commissioner Schulte has listed some of those. And, I don't wish to move this forward as a resolution to purchase a railroad. I want to reiterate that this is exploratory only in nature, that the money that's being upfronted here potentially is just to see if this is really a feasible project, not to actually purchase the railroad. I too have my reluctance in this thing, as I've stated from time to time. So this is not a purchase agreement. This is an agreement to move forward with Discovery to see if this is actually a feasible project.
Mr. Chair, there is one change to the resolution. When this was drafted and signed by the City of Tacoma, they were in negotiations with Western Washington Rail, who is the operator of the line, and they said it would expire on the 17th of January. That negotiation is completed. Western Washington Rail was given a 5-year contract to operate on the line. So we'll have to make that amendment in a future resolution.
Okay. Mr. Dawes? Come forward. You need to come forward.
First of all, I beg your pardon. I didn't know the public was not allowed to address on consent items. So
You're allowed to address. Go ahead.
Thank you. I apologize. Dennis Dawes, Mayor, City of Chehalis. I kind of want to reiterate some of the things that Chairman Gross has said. I know when we first discussed this at the City Council, I was kind of a little wondered why we would do this, but as we have done further research into this, and Ron, there are some public meetings that are coming up that if you wanted to attend the presentation that we've been doing, Larry McGee, Bill, and myself, I would certainly encourage. Okay, I'd certainly encourage anyone to attend because obviously we certainly want to get this out. But we have come to a time in our local economy where we have to think outside of the box, so to speak. I don't mean box stores, I don't mean outlet stores or whatever, but a lot of people seem to think we have a lot of box stores and we have a lot of outlet stores. But we need to find out things that we can do outside of that past thinking to generate something in our local economy. We, like the city, are much like everyone else. We have seen revenues go down and we have tried certain things to help revenues go up, and we need to think outside the box. I do remember, it was a little over 8 years ago, where when Tacoma Rail purchased this line, they were looking to run grain trains through. And grain trains, I know that, and I certainly don't want to speak for the city of Centralia, I'm just relying on past articles I read in our local paper, where they were rather upset over the prospect of those grain trains, slow-moving, long grain trains, mile-long trains coming through town and tying up the intersections. In a former career, I sat at Reynolds Avenue with a busload of kids for 55 minutes, waiting for a train that was just sitting at the track. So I can tell you, that's not fun. I'm just glad one of them didn't say they had to go to the bathroom, because 60 others would have said they had to too. But as funny as that sounds, that's a reality that could have occurred in the past. We have a chance to look at something local, and there's a lot of work that's going to go into this. I too am not ready to go out and see us buy a railroad unless it makes sense. From the 30,000 foot level, that kind of makes sense, but we need to take a lot closer look. We need to get on a ground level and take a look and make sure there's nothing ecologically that's going to surprise us, there's nothing infrastructure-wise that's going to surprise us, and that the business plan makes sense. There's no guarantees that the business plan will make sense. There's no guarantees that the $2 million grant will come there. So there are outs to get out without monetary damage. If there is something in there, I would submit, is our local community worth investing time to see if we can bring about something that can make sense and maybe bring something in? Western Washington has been very successful in their smaller operations, but is that something that could grow with the way rail traffic is moving? Not all of it has to be done from rail. It can be transloaded and brought to a different loading facility for rail transportation. That's one of the things that's possible. So is our local community worth the time and effort to study this? I would submit to you that yes, and I would so certainly support your resolution, as I will our resolution tonight. And thank you for allowing me the chance to speak.
I wanted to make comments also, and thanks, Mayor Dawes, for your comments from the city of Chehalis. Last summer, we 3 commissioners did take a ride on the rail, saw for ourselves what it's like. We have looked at Larry McGee's tentative report on the 30,000-foot level of what we're looking at. And I would advise if anybody would like more information, we do have copies of Larry's report with us that we could share. There's a lot of questions, and hopefully with this process of putting together a business plan, they can be answered. If folks out there in the community have questions, please send them in to us so they are addressed. We want to know firsthand, and we appreciate Colonel Averill coming in with the questions he has. We've duly noted those. So we suggest others in the community, if you have questions that you think we need to address that we haven't, please send them in to us. We appreciate the community input on this.
Yes, and lastly, Colonel Averill, in response to your question about risk pool, we do cover railroads. It's a very limited coverage in the risk pool. There are some counties that already have railroads, and they do have coverage. It's limited, and it's not cheap. So it's something that you have to consider when we talk about it.
In the business plan.
Okay. Mr. Elsey.
Good morning, Commissioners. Tim Elsey speaking to number 5 on your consent agenda. This is resolution number 14-104, rescinding resolution 14-094 and approving a revised local agency agreement and federal aid prospectus with the Washington State Department of Transportation for the Bishop Road Improvements Project. As you're aware, I was here on March 10th, and we approved a local agency agreement with WashDOT at that time for $800,000 for the Bishop Road Improvement Project. The estimate for that project was already at $1.1 million, and we had already been approved by the TSC for additional funds.
TSC
is the Transportation Strategy Council, and for surface transportation improvement funds. So when we submitted the local agency agreement to WashDOT, they preferred that we went ahead and put the total $1.1 million on their local agency agreement rather than the $800,000, which was the original estimate. This local agency agreement says that the same contribution by the state of $692,000 is still part of that local agency agreement. They will change the state transportation improvement program. More funds will be allocated, and at that time we will revise the local agency agreement for $260,000 more dollars to come from the state transportation program.
Comments? Thank you, Tim.
Thank you.
That completes the discussion of the consent agenda. Are there any other questions or comments? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote on the consent agenda. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. We have a hearing. Oh, we have a bid opening. Gary.
So this is the bid opening. We do this every year. Per the law, we have to go out for legal printing for our legal paper for the county. So this is our opening. We have 2 bids submitted, one from the Morton Journal and one from the Chronicle. We'll open them today. We'll go back and review them, and then we will award on April 7th. And the first bid is from the Chronicle. Looks like everything's signed. Their bid for cost of 1.20 column inch at 8-point type is $6 for 10 lines. Their cost, we put in a legal sample that they need to provide costs for, and their cost is $46.80 per day. And the last bid is for the Morton Journal. It looks like everything's signed from the Morton Journal. Their cost for the 1.20 column inch at 8-point type is $6.40. Their cost to publish the sample that we gave them was $48. So again, we'll take this back, we'll look at it, and we'll do the award on April 7th.
Thank you, Carrie. And we have one hearing on the annual construction program. Procedurally, the way this works is we have a staff report, followed by a question and answer period, and then a recommendation by the staff on passing and a motion to pass.
Morning again, Commissioners. As you're aware, every year we adopt the annual construction program and the transportation improvement program. Both of these programs can be modified at any time during the year by a majority of the legislative authority, but only after a public hearing. And this public hearing today is so that we can modify the 6-year transportation improvement program. The reason we're trying to modify, or would like to modify the program today, is because we have received additional funding for 2 separate projects. One is for the Skate Creek Road Bank Protection Project. This is scour mitigation in the Cowlitz River on the Skate Creek Bridge. This is an increase in federal bridge funding from $306,000 to $475,000 for construction in 2014. This will allow us to accept those funds into revenue. The other project is the Bishop Road Improvement Projects that we just discussed. And this is an increase in federal STP funding from $692,000 to $952,000. And the county's matching funds will go from $108,000 to $148,000 for construction in 2014. And I'm happy to answer any other questions that you might have.
Questions from the board? And then we'll close the question and answer period and open the hearing. Mr. Elsey, would you like your comments to be incorporated into the hearing?
Yes, please.
The comments will be incorporated. And there's no public testimony. Would anybody from the public like to comment, or from the board? Comment on the hearing? Hearing none, I will close the hearing and entertain a motion.
I move that we approve resolution number 14-105, amending the 2014 annual construction program and 6-year transportation program.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Are there any other comments? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Seeing no further business, I move that we adjourn.
I second that.
Motion's made and seconded to adjourn. All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. We are adjourned.